Alrighty, it says I'm live, so hello! Welcome! My name is Jules, and I'm the Dawdling Writer. And today, since I have labeled this video as like a Q&A or AMA, we will be dawdling. There will be a couple of writing sprints, but I figured today would be a good day for a slightly more chatty type of stream, having just finished the worldwide write-a-thon, which I saw a lot of y'all participating in yesterday and this morning. I did not write anything this morning. I just wrote yesterday, but I did get a good bit of writing in yesterday, so I was very thankful for the worldwide write-a-thon. So yeah, hi. Let me see who all is here. Mr. P was the first one here and 90 minutes early. Goodness gracious. And then you are still here at the 60-minute mark. You were waiting probably since the end of the Worldwide Write-a-thon with Jessica. Yes. Netta is here. Hello. Devin is here. Howdy, howdy. Lizzie is here. Hello. Devin saying coming in with the Dr. Lizzie. Lots of hellos back and forth. Petra is here. Hello. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Sarah is here. Thank you very much. I appreciate both the congratulations and the subs. It's very... I didn't know how fast this channel was going to grow. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with the channel when I started it. I still kind of don't. But I'm very much grateful that y'all are willing to try and beat the procrastination with me. So thank you. You did summon Mr. P. Squisms, hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Vanya, hello. Thank you for joining us today. Yes, chatting sprints. We could see how much we wanted to chat during. So Mr. P is the official MRP is actually Mr. P. But it was difficult with the dots because he didn't want to be the official Mr.P.com type of thing. So he just became MRP, which is short for Mr. P. So. And we have been making jokes about Mr. P and pineapples and all that kind of stuff. So, Mr. P. So, hello, we are the Twin Tails. Welcome, welcome. Chloe is here. Hi. The official Mr. P. Hit the like button and subscribe if you have not already. Yes, please do if you want to join us in our quest to beat the dawdling and procrastination. I feel like we should make that an official quest. You just posted your vlog. Holy crap. Did you do, like, it's only been 2 hours since it ended. How did you do editing that fast? Oh goodness gracious, Laura, I am impressed. I took like 3 video clips yesterday, and then I realized when I was writing, I was like, oh, I should probably be vlogging this. And did I do it? No. Megan is here. Hello. Welcome. You missed the memo for the write-a-thon. Oh, well. They're going to be doing another one in October, she said. Jessica was explaining with her closing statements that she was kind of planning on, from now on, trying to do one of these write-a-thons every month before a Nano event. So it will be kind of quarterly-esque. Sort of. Hannah is here. Hello. Welcome, welcome. How long have you been up? I'm curious. Because I know you were part of the sprints yesterday. Did you get a nap? Did you stay up all night? And how much coffee have you consumed? You've been here since the marathon ended. Yes. You had a good afternoon with the write-a-thon and got a lot done. Me too. And then you lost power for 3 hours and that was the end of productivity for you. Yeah, that does kind of sometimes, like when something unexpected happens, it kind of jolts you out of your productivity a lot of times. Lizzie left your headphones downstairs. Whoops. Also, didn't do the write-a-thon because you were visiting people and eating the best diary? Are you consuming diaries now? Is it full of secrets? Is that what you are fueled on? You live on secrets. Everybody has to feed Lizzie a secret. Oh no! You crapped out about 10 p.m., so you missed about half of it. I was struggling to write after like the 4th hour because my brain just does not want to focus for that long, I feel like. And so I kind of trucked along and I joined in on watching and whatnot, but I didn't get a whole lot of writing done after that first 4 or 5 sprints. And then I kept trying. I went to the midnight hour with Tamara and I finally was like, all right, I'm going to do like 500 more words. And then that was it. So you were up too long. You were very tired. You've been up since 6 a.m. your time and 1 a.m. our time. Yeah, that's a long time to be up. It's a very long time to be up. All righty. So I did post an Instagram earlier, and I had some questions for the AMA style. And so I have a couple that are I wrote down in front of me because I don't trust my phone to keep them. Technology gremlins have been around lately, so. But feel free to ask me things in the chat if you like. So I'm going to go through a couple of these, and then we can either do more questions or we can do some writing sprints, and that's up to y'all. But I just wanted to go ahead and do some of the questions that have been sent to me ahead of time. So Life of Angelina asked me, what are my publishing plans, specifically like traditional, indie, etc. And I'm planning on being a hybrid author. I had initially planned to have this YA series of mine be self-published, but as I'm writing it, I'm figuring out that it seems to be a little bit more traditional friendly, whereas some of my other projects that are in the works are not as traditional friendly, or they're a little harder to get in the door. So I might go the self-publishing route with those. So yeah, my pink sticky notes that are back there are the Project Heartbeat, which is a romance novella that has kind of fallen by the wayside. I'm about halfway through it, kind of in that middle of the act 2, not having a whole lot of fun with it. So I may abandon it. We'll see. I've got 1 more month to decide. But I had kind of planned to self-publish that one by the end of the year. Which if I abandon it, that's not going to happen. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Okay, Weird asked, what's my strangest idea that's made it into a story? I don't know of anything like super, super strange right off the bat. I mean, like all fantasy is kind of weird if you think about it. So I do have like patron gods with like dual aspects and that kind of thing. But I don't think that's like super weird because I like to read a whole bunch of mythology and whatnot. And the lighting is super weird because I did the curtains only half open. Sorry about that. But I do have kind of like a line that I wrote that is fun for me. And it's when my main character is talking, or when my mentor character is talking to the main character and sort of consoling the main character who is just confronted with the reality of sort of like the depth of the corruption of the depth, not the death, the depth of the corruption of like the largest temple. We're supposed to be like saintly, kind, gentle organization. And he has realized that they're just people. And so the mentor says, holy people are just like the rest of us, full of holes and hot air. And so that's kind of just like a weird little one-liner that I like. Let's see. Allie Ernest said, and I liked this question, would you rather be attacked by one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? And I thought this question was amazing because it was so fun. But I initially thought I would rather go with the one horse-sized duck, but then I was like, wait, no, the wings. I've heard all kinds of nasty stories about swans and geese breaking people's legs with their wings. And so if you got it up to be horse-sized, that would be not fun. Versus if I was attacked by 100 duck-sized horses, there are no wings, one, but also like they can't fly. So if you were able to get away from them, and got up to somewhere high, they might not be able to follow me. And also, to be honest, like really, really teeny tiny ducks, you'd be able to like stick your foot, or duck-sized horses, you'd be able to stick your foot underneath and kind of tip them over. So I would go with the 100 duck-sized horses. What would you guys do? Would you go with one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? That's also slightly confusing to say. It's a weird question. So there's a couple of Hannah says, you haven't counted your words yet as your handwriting, but you handwrote around 32 pages. Woo! And your writing's pretty small, so you definitely got a lot done. Yes, for sure. Technology gremlins have been around since before the dawn of time. They just had to wait for technology to be invented. Before that, they were just regular gremlins. Jenna is here. Hello! Welcome. Yes, I saw that some people were getting like 15, 16, 18K. I was like, oh boy, that's a lot of words. I think I ended up just over 4,000. You ended up with 4,200. Yeah. Megan would also take 100 duck-sized horses. Yes. Pauline is here. Hello. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. You don't think you could ever write 10K day? I signed up to try that on the 30th with Cachet. I was like, sure, let me try this. So I'm not sure what time slot I'm going to be in, but I am going to be attempting a 10K day, which I'm sure is going to make me absolutely insane. But that'll be on August 30th. So yeah. With me on the 100 duck-sized horses. Yeah, if you can find a tree or swim fast enough, you're good. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, there's the wings. The wings, I think, and the stories of all the broken bones due to swans and geese are what kind of make me a little wary of the large duck. But Laura has a good point. You would tame the horse-sized duck and bridle it like Mother Goose did. Also a good idea. Purely because they're way cuter, he'd go for 100 duck-sized horses. So yesterday, I convinced one of the streams to use the duck timer, which was amazing. And then, so the thoughts of that, and then this question that I got from Allie made me think of a comedian that I had seen who has this story, and it's on YouTube. You can find it. He has this story about him being a really awful roommate, and it's because he roomed with a whole bunch of girls, and they each had their own basket from like IKEA with all of their bathroom toiletries, and so the girls all had a whole bunch of stuff, and their baskets were full of products and whatnot, and he didn't have anything in his, so he just put a whole bunch of rubber duckies in them. And then he started like moving them around and like making a chase scene around the tub and whatnot. And then he found out you can order them in bulk from China. So he did. And so he like staged them coming out of the bathtub as if they were pouring out of the drain. And like, so he did all this kind of ridiculous stuff. And when his roommates got mad and they told him to reduce the number of ducks. He found larger ducks. And so there was one that like fit in the toilet bowl and one that like fit in the washer dryer tub. And so like, and then the roommates of course got mad, or at least one of them did. And so she told him that he had to have all of the ducks out by the end of the weekend or something. And he was like, oh, can I keep one? And she soft-heartedly said 1 duck. So he went out and he got this gigantic, like filled half of the bathroom sized duck. So if you have not seen that, I think it's like Why I'm a Terrible Roommate. But he's a British comedian. It's excellent. It's so good. It's so good. Yes. The duck timer is the best. I was kind of sad they didn't let us hear the quacks last night, but it was still good. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. It's such a good comedy show. Just like, it's such a good one. Okay. I had a couple more questions. ADHD writer asked me if I preferred chunky or smooth peanut butter. And my answer is kind of both. Because I like smooth for my sandwiches and I like chunky in my cookies. So, or biscuits for our UK friendly crowd. Halo 2 Girl asked which video games I prefer. And since I am more of a PC gamer, I tend to like those kinds of franchises rather than platform because I've never had a platform. And so I am a fan of like the Diablo franchise and Elder Scrolls and Doom and like World of Warcraft and like Command and Conquer. Like one of my favorites of Command and Conquer was the one that had the Tesla coils. I don't know if anybody like remembers these, but you could build these little Tesla coil guard towers. And so whenever the infantry came to invade your base, the Tesla coils would spit out lightning at them, and then you would see their little skeletons dance. And you could also get little German Shepherd guard dogs too. So that was my favorite one. So yeah, those are the kind of video games, computer games that I like. Just really simple, fun ones. Abigail asked if I liked being logical and analytical because she told me that I felt like I was organized. And I was like, oh, yay, my fake organization is working. Because I have all the like organization bins. I have all the stuff and the labels and all that kind of stuff. And so I'll clean and I'll do a huge cleaning spurt. And then everything will stay beautiful and clean and organized for about 3 days. And then it's a mess again. So I'm a kind of a fake organizer. But yeah, I think my procrastination comes in there because I also like dawdle and procrastinate cleaning and organizing stuff. So there's that aspect of it. But I do like in my reading, I tend to be less analytical when I'm reading to escape something. So I know that some people, some book reviewers and whatnot, they annotate like every book that they read. And I can't do that because if I want to escape and enjoy it, I don't want to sit there with like a pen and paper. So that's much more of a academic type of analytical brain activity for me. And so I tend to do that more with like writing craft books or that kind of stuff. So I'm like half organized, and it's on the surface level organization, because like do not under any circumstances like opening my filing drawers because I have not organized those in like 6 months and they are a mess. And so, yeah, Mr. P, I am a teacher organizer for sure. Like you start out so organized, everything looks good. And then like you actually get into the business end of things of like actually doing work and things just kind of fall apart because a lot of the like pretty organization tools and stuff are not really practical. And so the organization's level of stuff falls apart in the face of practicality and everyday use, I think. So yeah. there's that. Pacey Beast. Hello, welcome. I do not think I have seen you before. You might know me, I'm not sure. Depends on if you have seen me before. But yes. So that's sort of my take on analysis and logical sort of brain. Charlie, or C.E. Dorset on Instagram, asked me what my favorite singer, band, or music is like. And so at the moment, my favorite singers, Aurora, Florence Welch, Lewis Capaldi. I kind of like the slightly indier sound of things. Okay, so Pacey Beast saw someone in Disney store yesterday with pet goldfish. I was not in Disney store. That is a place that I will not be going to anytime soon. But yeah, so my favorite band, I have two. I have Queen, of course, because Queen is amazing. And then also Nightwish for a little bit more of my hard rock fun stuff. Do we know this Pacey Beast? Or is this a bot? Question for the rest of us. Have we seen this person before? Do I need to do a little bit of moderation with this person? Let me know, because I do not know this person. Okay, I'm going to put them in timeout for now. And if they come back and continue this, we will boot them. Alrighty. Oddly Mimi asked me if I had ever killed off a character because I couldn't kill off the person in real life. And I don't think I've killed off a particular person. I have based characters on sort of like groupthink mentality from certain groups of people, and sort of like all the negative type of vitriol that they spout. And so I will like coalesce that into one character. And then that particular character will get exactly what that kind of behavior deserves. So yeah. And then Ali Mimi also asked if I had recurring characters, and I can say yes. I have a children's detective story that I have little short stories where the main character recurs, and his little friends also occur in each story. And then I have now my sequel for Project Gray, so I have recurring characters in there. So yes, I now have recurring characters. Hannah had asked me what my favorite season was, and guessed that it might be like winter. And you're kind of correct, because I live in the South and I hate mosquitoes and sunburn and all of that. So yeah, I prefer generally the cooler seasons like fall and winter. I would normally say spring, except for my allergies are like not so great. So yeah, that's kind of why fall and winter are my favorites. And Hannah also asked if I was a teacher, and yes, I taught high school level. I taught English, because that's generally a lot of aspiring authors are also English teachers of some sort. I taught 10th grade, 12th grade. I taught gifted. I taught special education collab. I taught mythology class as an elective and advanced composition as elective. And I was also a co-sponsor for the Creative Writing Club and the Gay Straight Alliance Club. So I did a lot. I did a lot. Yeah. And Tamama writes, just said congratulations, because apparently she can never think of any questions until after the video comes out. So there's that. And then Shelby writes, asked what the hardest part of the writing process has been. And I would say generally for me, because I am a dawdling writer, I always procrastinate. The main problem for me is like actually sitting my butt in the chair, opening the document and writing. That has always been my hardest problem. And so that's kind of like still like the main top priority of like things that need to be overcome. Writing the first draft was fun. I'm enjoying reading through my story again, but the developmental edits, sort of like what I'm making notations on, all the plot holes I'm finding, that's a little more frustrating. But I can't speak to any like line edits or any of that stuff yet. So thus far, the main problem has been like actually doing the writing regularly, consistently, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was the end of the questions that I had sent in to me ahead of time. So now I am free to answer all of your other questions. Or we could do some writing sprints. So that's up to y'all. Petra said, let the bot elimination commence. Yeah, I put them in timeout for 5 minutes. We'll see if they come back or not. And I don't know if that means that makes all of their comments disappear or just what that means. The chat trolls have been very active this weekend. They attacked some of the other streams too. Yeah. Okay. I think it is a bot. Just checked them out and they do nothing but giveaways. Interesting. Okay. Good to know. Well, if they can come back in and do any more of the sort of spamming chat, we'll just go ahead and block them then. Yay! Laura made the comments disappear. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yay! Okay. Well, so Netta, Laura has a little wrench by her name, and so she's a moderator, so she has the power to delete comments and help the host block bots and inappropriate behavior and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Or Laura could just be magical. There's always that option. She has the power of the wrench. And I think it's pretty funny that that they use a wrench. I'm sure that's meant for like technology, like tightening things up, making it work. But I always sort of get this image of like, instead of Entangled where she uses a frying pan as a weapon, I'm just envisioning Laura swinging a giant wrench and kicking butts out that way. Yeah. The Wrench Witch. Ooh, that could be fun, like a steampunk version of a witch story. I like that idea. That could be fun. What are some of the best horror movies that I love? Looking for inspiration. Let's see. I generally err more on the side of like comedic horror. Like I'm a huge fan of things like Young Frankenstein, and I mean that's not really horror. I love the Addams Family, but again, that's not really horror. So I despise like the jump scares with the music crescendos, because those get me every time and I hate it. I hate it so much. I remember like just about like freaking out and leaving the room when we were watching Alien when I was a kid, because I was just not it was not the jump scare when the alien comes out of the stomach was just not me. No. Other horror movies. I like Supernatural, but that's like not a movie again. So yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything like super specific that's like actual horror. I mean, Get Out was really good. But that's like not just the horror aspect of things. What else? I'm having a hard time thinking of one. If anybody else has some favorite ones, do tell Laura what your favorite horror movie is, if you can think of one on the spot, unlike me. Devin says she's a lovely witch. She's a wonderful witch. Devin says you're addicted to horror movies. There you go. Laura would love your DVD collection. So Devin, you need to give Laura some of your favorites if you have not already, because I'm assuming y'all have probably chatted about this in previous chats. Question: what fantasy novels inspired my love for the genre? What do you consider your influences? Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, Anne McCaffrey, Dragon Riders of Pern, Mercedes Lackey with the Joust series and with the Valdemar series. Let's see, Tamara Pierce, Jane Yolen, Terry Pratchett. I love Terry Pratchett, if you haven't heard me already. What are some other ones? Oh gosh, what is the name of that author? I read it in middle school, and it was somewhere kind of near Jane Yolen's in the library shelf, so it's probably like later into the alphabet. But it's where a princess is supposed to be, she's kidnapped by the dragon because the dragon has like a contract with the kingdom or something, and so none of the knights can actually rescue her because they're all afraid and easily defeated. And so the princess just starts making friends with the dragon, and they start having like tea and lunch together, and eventually she goes and like defeats the evil witch and that kind of stuff, but I can't remember what the name of it was. If I remember it, I will let y'all know. My guilty pleasure trope. I love a good chosen one. Like, I know that that's like, everybody's like, that's so over. And I'm like, but I like it. Because for me, a lot of the chosen one stories sort of overlap with the hero's journey, which is one of my favorite sort of story arcs. And so, yeah, so that's, I think, probably the chosen one. For like fantasy adventure stories. As far as romance goes, probably like I do like a good fake relationship one that eventually turns out to be a real relationship. I do like that trope. Sort of like the contract relationship or whatever we want to call it. I do like those. So yeah, those are probably, I mean, they're not great tropes, but they are fun. So Laura Nettles says the bug in the ear scene from Star Trek. Yeah. Wrath of the Khan gets you every time. Still can't sit through the scene. Yeah. No, anything that like, yeah, that and anything to do with eyeballs. So I think, what did I see in theaters? I think it was one of the Bourne. Was it one of the Bourne identities? I don't know. But they were like sticking a needle in the eye in order to like change the retina pattern or something. I don't think it was one of the Bourne ones. I think it was something else. But anything that deals with like sticking things in your eye, I am not on board with. This is the reason why I wear glasses instead of contacts, because I cannot like put my fingers on my eyeballs. I just can't. I have a really hard time with my eyelashes when they get to the length where they are easy to fall out. Because I will just like go and pull my eyelashes just to get the loose ones, because I hate when they fall in my eye. And so I'm always like, I don't want to. So I'm really, really bad with anything to do with like touching of the eyeballs. So if you want to freak me out, like put some eyeballs and jump scares. And if you even do it like in combination where like as you're going to touch an eyeball, like something, yeah, no, that would work for me every time. Sleepy Hollow is the worst horror movie ever, but you love it. Oh, oh gosh, what is it? It's another comedy. Oh, I don't have it with me. Oh, crummies. I'm gonna have to go find that in a minute. It's so stupid, but there's a Halloween one that is absolutely disgustingly funny. You could talk about horror movies for hours. Yes. One of your guilty pleasures as well. Yes. You love supernatural type horror. The others, The Ring. The Ring was really good. The Crow. Yes. There's a lot of really cool like Japanese horror stuff that I appreciate a lot more than some of the Western ones. So yeah. Yeah. Still need to see The Crow. Put it on the list. Gotcha. Yes. Favorite candle scent. My favorite is probably something citrusy. And something that's like not super overpoweringly smelly. I usually go for a little bit more faint scent, but I do like the citrus type. Like one of my favorites is blood orange. And then one of the other ones that I had recently was like a kiwi. I mean, that's not like technically citrus, but that sort of fresh fruit smell that is more leaning towards citrus-esque. Of course, like a standard vanilla or cinnamon is also really good. But yeah, probably more action in the horror, but it is good. Yes. Favorite type of video to film? Anything that does not require much editing. So, because I'm really bad at editing, I did finally finish editing a little story time video about when my diary was stolen, and so that will go up this week. I still have to make the thumbnail for it and schedule it, but it's done editing. But yeah, mostly I'm a fan of the videos that I don't have to do much editing on. So, but that's again because I'm lazy and I will procrastinate if I have to do a whole lot. You've been doing some fishing, pun intended, bot alert. They only have giveaway videos, and in the section they have listed, you may know me by giving free things to small YouTubers and trading on live stream chats. Gotcha. Okay, so hopefully that person has not come back. So maybe we defeated the bot. You love Sleepy Hollow. It's so atmospheric. Yes. Drink of choice while writing and while editing. While writing, generally water, but that's after caffeine intake. I have, since I usually take caffeine in the form of with sugar, so I have coffee with sugar and creamer, or like soda, which has a whole bunch of sugar in it. I generally keep that away from my computer because I feel like water would be a little bit easier if I spilled it on the off chance that I did. I feel like water would be a little bit easier to clean up than water with like sticky stuff. So yeah, so generally if I'm working with my computer, it's just water. I have not tried editing while imbibing adult beverages, so I can't say that it's usually just water, I think. I mean, I usually have like coffee in the morning and then just water the rest of the day, unless I have like lemonade or something. But yeah, so mostly water. And plus, I'm not real good. I'm pretty much a lightweight with adult beverages. So I generally have one and I'm super giggly and then I fall asleep. So yeah, one or two, I'm a giggly hot mess and then I fall asleep. So if I did start drinking while I was editing, I don't know what kind of comments I would make, and then I would just fall asleep. So not much work would be done. Ayana is here. Hello. You have not joined in a while, but you kind of changed your story a lot and you're too scared to start over, so you haven't written in a lot. Well, if it's changed a whole lot, have you gone back through your outline and looked at where the story is going again from that? So you may have to re-outline if your plot has started to diverge. So that would be like my first sort of bit of advice. You've had to start over a few times. The pain goes away eventually. Yeah. And that's perfectly fine as well. If you have to start over or if you have to abandon it, that is fine. Most professional writers and authors have several abandoned manuscripts in the bottom of drawers and whatnot, and they're abandoned for a reason. So who knows? Question: do you have a go-to snack that you eat while writing? Popcorn or crisps? Pretty much anything I can eat with like one hand that's not super messy. I will eat any kind of biscuits or cookies or crisps or chips. I will eat gummies and peppermints and like I'm not real good about like crisps and salsa or chips and salsa, because again, that's like sticky-esque sort of viscous liquid stuff near my computer. And so I'm definitely a little wary of using anything that might stick to my computer. So, but yeah, things that have just like little bitty crumbs and things I'm okay with. But it's just like anything that tastes good is generally how I snack. So you re-outlined after you changed it, but still haven't gotten the courage to begin. Well, you either are not ready to start it, or you may just have to sit down and try it. Or if you have trouble starting it on a blank computer screen, grab a scrap piece of paper and start on paper. Because a lot of times if you are handwriting, it activates different areas of your brain than typing does. And so it may help you. Also, when you write by hand, it's generally slower than you write on the computer. And so it gives you time to think over word choices a little bit better. Favorite Lord of the Rings character? Legolas. I love my elves. And then Sam. Yeah, because just Sam. He's amazing. What do you prefer? Writing, brainstorming, or editing? Writing. Definitely writing. Brainstorming, often to me, I get impatient because it feels like brainstorming should then be like planning or outlining, and I just want to go ahead and like get right to the writing part of things. So I find the actual drafting of things for the first time much better. Okay. What is your biggest pet peeve while editing? The number of times that I have written the word that. I have discovered that is my crutch word. And it is ridiculous how many times I use it. It's absolutely ridiculous. I should probably go through and just do like the find and just see how many of the words that are in the manuscript, because I'm sure that it is absolutely ridiculous. And I kind of want to know now. Are there any genres I would not write under? I am not likely to write a memoir-esque type of manuscript, especially not with my family, because my family can hold a grudge. And they're very interesting, weird, special people. But yeah, so that would not happen until all of my relatives passed away. But even then, like, I have nephews now. So if I revealed all the family secrets, and then they would have to kind of deal with having that legacy out in the open. So that's just not going to happen. Yeah, so I would not write a memoir type of thing. I don't think that would ever be in the cards for me. So yeah. Who is my favorite YouTuber? Well, you can actually check the description, and there are a whole bunch of really cool YouTubers that I have linked there that are amazing and that you should be following. I don't have a necessarily like favorite. I will say that I think I first discovered AuthorTube through Kate Kavanaugh with her I Tried Writing Like Stephen King. And then I immediately found Becca C. Smith and Brooke by the Brook. And Becca C. Smith was just so kind and so welcoming. And so I think she was the one that sort of like pushed me to really start like, oh, I can do this. That's like sort of a slow creep towards confidence of like, maybe I could try this. So those three were my sort of like initial introduction to AuthorTube. So they hold a special place in my heart, but so does everybody else, because this is just amazing community. So yeah. What is my default POV and tense? My default POV is third person omniscient, because a lot of my story dreams that I get are like me watching the characters from like an overhead view over their shoulder. And I can't tell if it's because I've just played those type of isometric over the shoulder computer games for so long that that's sort of like sunk into my brain as like the way to view your characters running around the world. But that is sort of like my default story dream idea or story dream perspective. And so I think a lot of that goes into my writing. Also, I know a lot of people really like it, but I despise writing in first person. I hate it so much. And I've tried to sort of like explain this to other people, and it just sounds weird every time I say it, but writing in first person makes me feel narcissistic. And I don't know if anybody else really gets that same feeling, but I'm like, I hate using the word I so much because it makes me feel self-centered. And I think that is sort of a leftover of when I realized that I was a person who had to fight with myself. Because in conversations, I tended to be like, oh, well, you did this really cool thing, and I did that. I did this other thing. And so I would always sort of insert myself rather than just celebrating and congratulating the other person. And so that's a personal flaw that I have really had to work on. And so writing in first person brings back that feeling of like, oh crap, I'm talking about me again. And so I need to like not do that. And so that's just like why I think I avoid first person. Tense, I tend to either do past or present. I usually write past, but then I will like slip into present like halfway through the sentence, and it's really, really annoying. Do I change tense from short to long term form fiction? I don't think I do. I mean, I think just within whatever work I'm doing, I swap between past and present tense. So then I always have to go fix it. But yeah. Question: what genres do I never read? I rarely read biographies. I do read them occasionally, but I rarely read biographies. I rarely read Westerns, like pure Western cowboy adventures. I don't think I ever really read a whole lot of like super, super scientific technical stuff because I just don't understand a whole lot of it. But I think like if I start to write a science fiction story, then I will probably go and find a whole bunch of those technical books for that particular area of science. But in general, I'm open to pretty much everything. But yeah, there are certain genres that I read more of than anything else. So I generally prefer fantasy, science fiction, romance, I do like a good steampunk. So just those are kind of like my wheelhouse. My I like these a whole lot, and I'm going to find more of these, like mysteries, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, so most of the like hardcore science books, like the nonfiction ones, I don't read those. Do I prefer writing with music in the background or silence? So I generally prefer silence, except for if I am writing a battle scene. If I am writing a battle scene, I will go find a battle soundtrack, because I need that sort of like quick and epic pace to kind of make sure that my writing is following a similar pace. So that is the one thing that I will make sure that I do. But generally, I write with silence because a lot of the time I find myself singing along with the lyrics and accidentally typing the lyrics, or getting distracted by like remembering the music video or remembering the concert when we could go to concerts, that kind of thing. So generally, I mostly write with silence. Or now live streams. So Laura is here. Hello. Yes, we hope everyone is well today. Thank you for dropping in. We appreciate it. When I was a kid, did you ever think you would be an author? Yes. Yeah. Most definitely. I wrote my first story, I think, in like 2nd or 3rd grade. I think it was 3rd grade. And I did a little story time video about that, and why that story made it harder for me to share my stories with other people for like the longest time. So yeah, I wrote my first little werewolf story in 3rd grade. I was so inspired by R.L. Stine's Werewolf of Fever Swamp. That was like my jam. I love that book. What do you prefer writing? What do you prefer writing? Short stories, novellas, novel, etc. I generally prefer writing like long form because I like imagining this epic story, this huge story world, and all the things that could possibly happen to the characters. However, I was observing, and I can't remember whose stream it was on, but I was observing that my short pieces are the ones that I've put forward for publication, whereas my long pieces I have done not a whole lot with. So, like, maybe I should try writing a couple more short things, which is kind of why I started the novella as well, and also why I started sharing the chapters of my Cinderella retelling, which I also put a link to my Wattpad, where I've been posting that in the description. And yeah, so it's like my short things that I tend to like push forward to let other people read more often than it is my longer novels. I usually like hoard. I don't know. I'm weird. How many pages do you think are too many for a chapter, or maybe even for a whole book? I'm struggling with that myself because I generally write longer chapters, I have found, and my scenes are the length of some people's chapters. And so I may have to turn my scenes into chapters, but that will mean that like my entire book is like triple the amount of chapters that I had initially planned, which is okay. But I think it depends on, I think the number of chapters and page numbers and all that kind of stuff depends on what age and the intent of your book. So like middle grade books are generally a little bit smaller. So they're like somewhere around 30,000 words. Whereas a YA book can go anywhere up to like 100,000 books or 100,000 pages, depending on the author and the platform that they have built and the way that they write. So it depends. Also, the page number kind of depends on font size and the formatting. So that's also something that you have to figure out kind of later in the game after you have written the story. So, but there are some people who have a really, really short chapters, and it kind of increases the pace of your reading because you feel like you have a complete and succinct idea in each chapter. And so you keep, that's how, one of the ways that you can keep the pace rolling. But other authors choose to have a little bit more development and details, and sort of like you have this longer chunk of like, oh, all these things are happening. Like, and so it's just, it depends on how you want to do it. There is no one way. Charlie is here. Hey. Hello. Devin is here. And Charlie, I think you did an amazing job on the streams that you were on over the Worldwide Readathon. Laura says you did great on the lives as well. And this is the same question that I asked Charlie. Why are you so awesome? And Charlie's answer was amazing. Whereas I think it's because I want to be better. And so I am striving, because I mentioned that I hate talking in first person or writing in first person because it makes me feel self-centered. And so when I have realized that about myself, I try to be better about that. Because I used to, when I was younger, I used to be the friend who listened all the time. I used to be the sounding board. And I think that there was a period of time where I got really tired and exhausted of that. And so I kind of started fighting back. And that was when I began to be a bit more self-centered, I think. And then I realized I didn't like that about myself. But it's taken so long to kind of take that step back and learn to be the listening friend again. And so I think that is what sort of like, yeah. Thanks, Charlie. Laura says, that was going to be my question. I'll need a lot of time to answer that one. Or I could just avoid it and move on. You are spent today from meeting so many new people. Yes, lives can be a lot like meeting people in person. And for the introvert, it does take energy. It does take an emotional cost. And so you have to factor that into your own personal well-being and figure out what the balance is for you. Then the stream would never end. Yay! Have I ever read a story where I was more interested in a side character than the main character? Absolutely, yes. And usually when that happens, a lot of other people have the same thought, and then those characters get their own standalone book. But I am guilty of this, especially for rogue characters, for the like mischievous thieving character. I don't know. I have a special spot in my heart for rogues, for thieves. So I loved Robin Hood as a kid, and the idea of like stealing from the rich to give to the poor. So that was how I actually got my, I was fascinated by the idea of Robin Hood, and I read like every Robin Hood retelling I possibly could, and I was obsessed with the idea. And my mom had been on the track and field team when she was in high school, and she got to do archery. And I was like, I'm so jealous. So when I was 16, Mom found an archery range that was near where we lived. Like 20 to 30 minutes away. And they rented recurve bows for you. So I could go and I could learn to shoot a bow and arrow at the archery range. And the owner and the managers there who were in charge of the range had been the coaches for the National Youth Olympic League for archery. And so I was just like, cool. And so I learned how to shoot my recurve bow. I eventually bought my own, which is now in the closet at the moment. And so I learned to be Robin Hood. And so I got little badges for as I moved up and got better with my with my shooting because you had to get a certain number of points. So they had a scorecard for every time you came in for a weekend session. And so you had to get a certain number of points through the target system in order to move up in rank. And so I think I moved up like 5 or 6 ranks, which was pretty good. And they were impressed, as sort of like as a layman. Like they were not going to go and train me for the the like National Youth Olympic League because I wasn't that good. And my dad got me like this blob target thing that we set up in the backyard. And I got a couple of like quote unquote Robin Hood shots when I was at home. Like I never got it when I was at the range, but I always got it at home. And that's a Robin Hood is where you hit the back of an arrow with another arrow. And so, but when you do that, it destroys at least one arrow and sometimes both, depending on how effed up the tip of the second arrow is. But I like took off the feathers of so many arrows. I had to buy new batches of arrows and like, so it was fun. And I highly recommend that if you have a chance to find an archery range that will let you do recurve. So they also let hunters come in with composite bows to test their aim and all that kind of stuff. But if you have the chance to do recurve bows, try it. Although not necessarily at like the Renaissance festivals, because those are like really crappy ones. But if you have a chance to do like a real recurve bow, take it. It's fun. But yeah, so anyway, long story, very long. I usually preferred like the roguish characters, the thief characters, the ones that kind of resembled or branched off of the Robin Hood trope. So yeah. So Megan, hello. Hellos. If I was a tree, what kind of tree would I be? I think I would probably be like an oak tree, and either an oak or a pine, something normal. Would I though? Would I? I might not. I might just have to take the mimosa tree. Which is the scientific name is Albizia julibrisson, if you must know. And my dad was a forester, and so he would tell us all of the like scientific names for things. And so like tulip poplar is like Liriodendron tulipifera. And so like I would memorize kind of half-heartedly all these tree names. And I always liked the mimosa tree, which is because it has Julie in it. And so my name is Julianne, or Jules, short. So I always like, oh, hey, it has a little bit of my name in it. And it has these like really pink, fluffy, they're like little white fluff things, but the ends of them are pink. You can Google a mimosa tree and it looks adorable. So yeah, I think I would probably take mimosa. So I would not be a normal oak or pine. There you go. There's my second thought. My indecisive brain is showing again. Thank you, Alicia. And hello. Welcome. What is my favorite manga? Oh, okay. So One Piece is my favorite. That is not the one I have on the shelves, though, because it's forever long. And I got most of those when I was working at the at Books A Million for a while. And so I got them on sale with a discount and whatnot. So I have Fruits Basket, which I love. I have Double Juliet. I have Dengeki Daisy. I have Natsume Yujincho. And so a couple of the others. But yeah, but One Piece is my favorite, but I'm not caught up right now, so I'm behind, so please no spoilers. But I love One Piece. I'm amazed at the brain of the mangaka. It's just like, so I had a friend who tried to introduce me to manga and anime when we were in high school. And she tried to introduce me through kadocha, and I just didn't get it. I didn't enjoy it. It was not fun for me. And then in college, she was rooming with another friend who was also a lover of anime. And I walked in when Luffy was rocketing himself into the pub because he was hungry. And so he like slingshotted himself into this bar and like shoved his brother and the smoker Taichul out of the way and just like keeps eating. And then his brother is like coming back through all this collapsed walls to be like, oh, he's like, who did this? And he like looks up and he's like, oh, it's my brother. And then he gets like shoved down and the smoker comes through and tries to, it's amazing. And that was my first introduction to One Piece. And I was like, what is this nonsense? I must find this. And so that was how I got introduced to One Piece. And I devoured everything that I could find up until that point. And that was quite a few years ago. But I'm not caught up at the moment. So I need to do that. Did I do this? Yes. Okay. The opening to my Cinderella story is good. Thank you. I appreciate it. The prologue to my Cinderella should be a bitch. It is quite amusing to write. And I can't really tell you what the spark of idea was for that. It was just like horseshit should hit the fan and Cinderella should do it on purpose. It was just like, that was it. But yeah, other than Cinderella, which Disney princess, all of them could stand to be a little bit more badass. All of them. So yeah. Where do I get my cute earrings? So I've gotten several of them. I got a couple of pairs. So like my trumpet blossom type things. I got this pair and my black and silver, what I call bass clef, or treble clef. I'm not sure, whichever one it is. Kind of looks like an S. I can't remember. I got those at a shop down in St. Augustine, Florida. Several of the other ones, my smaller ones that are a little bit more interesting, I get from a company, I think it's called Silver Forest. And I used to get it in either Bells or Belks, but you can only get them online now because they're not in store. So yeah, so those are my general like go-to fun ones. Are the ones that I got from St. Augustine, and I could not tell you what shop I got those from, and then the ones I got from Silver Forest. So, and then I have a pair of gold moons that I got from a shop called the Phoenix and Dragon, and it's in Atlanta. And I think the jeweler's brand name was Black Rose, and I think they're on Instagram. So yeah. Yeah, I generally think like all Disney princesses could stand to be a little bit more assertive, have a little bit more of a spine, do a little bit more shenanigans. So all of them. So Hello is back. Yeah. My favorite season, probably fall or winter when it's cooler, when there are less mosquitoes, and yeah. So because I live in the South, I live in Georgia, it is hot and sweaty summertime, and the winter is really not that bad. So I would choose like fall and winter. But yeah, so, and I think pumpkin spice lattes are slightly overrated. I prefer a good chai. If I could live in the world of any TV show, which one? Ooh. I would say Doctor Who, but there's a lot of shenanigans that go on with Doctor Who. And usually not everybody ends up safe. but I still think I would like to meet Doctor Who. Let's see. Other TV shows. I don't think I would want to be in Supernatural. Yeah, I think Doctor Who would probably have to be my top. Yeah. Georgia has been on your bucket list for many years. Feel free to come, but not right now when the pandemic is on and our governor, schools have started reopening, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, not so much. Yeah. Where in the world would I like most to visit? I still want to go to Japan. My minor for college is in Japanese language and literature, but I have not gone yet. I would love to go to Egypt and see like the historical stuff that's there. But again, like not while there's a pandemic, not where all this kind of stuff is going on. I would love to go to Australia at some point, and New Zealand, and visit Hobbiton and the Shire in New Zealand. Let's see. I've not been to Alaska. I've not been to Canada, which I think would be fun to go to. Let's see. I would like to at some point go to see like Dracula's castle. So they're just like odd things that I would like to see all over the world. I have a friend who would like to go visit Mongolia, and I'm like, that could be fun. I would go with you for that. So just like random places. Yeah, I think I would just like to visit a lot of places in the world, but Japan is definitely on like high on the list. So I just hope I don't forget all my Japanese before then. Companion jewels for Doctor Who. Which doctor would I like to meet? Well, that's hard. That's hard. So Christopher Eccleston was my first doctor. And then David. And I was like, oh my God, I love David. Love David. And then Matt. And then I was like, oh my God, I love Matt. And so like every time I get a new doctor, I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm like, oh my God, I love you. So I would just kind of like meet any of them. And at heart, they're all the same. So can't enter the US right now because the border is closed. Yeah. And I don't anticipate that border opening anytime soon. You could always stay with me and visit Toronto once the border opens and things calm down again. Yeah, I might take you up on that. Your bunny might be suspicious of me. Oh, I loved Bunnicula as a kid. Please tell me you read that and loved it as much as I did, because I would think that would be like part of your childhood. So, yeah. Also in the Toronto area, group party. Yeah, when the border opens and we're all safe. We should. We should. Goodness gracious. Yeah, that is a thing for when the world is a little bit more normal instead of topsy-turvy. Alrighty. Well, it is now 3:15 essentially. Do y'all want to continue chatting, or do you want to do a sprint and like maybe try and get some work in? Up to y'all. I can see Laura made a comment. So your siblings read Bunnicula. You still need to. Yes, you do. It is amazing. It is so cute, and you should definitely read it. You should make a review of it. We need to, like, I want you to read this story. It's so cute. And it seems like it would be right up your alley. So I think you should read it. Definitely. Let's see. I'm not sure what else. Let's see. I know that when I always introduce myself to my students, one of the things for like icebreaker stuff, they're like, tell somebody what's weird about yourself. And I'm like, well, I have double jointed elbows. And because I always liked to warn my students, because if I propped myself up on their desk and leaned, it would look like my elbow was broken. And so it freaked some of the kids out. And so I was like, just, word to the wise, this will happen at some point this year. So yeah. So that's weird. Let's see, what else is weird? I don't know. See, that's the thing. Like when you're yourself, everything seems normal. And so you don't know what looks weird or what is weird. Am I afraid of heights? Yes. I do not care for heights at all. And that has gotten worse as I've got older. So like, whereas I would used to be able to go up like 3 or 4 steps on the ladder, now I'm like, 3 steps is, as far as I want to go. Like, I'm not really too afraid of flying. Like, I know there are a whole bunch of people who are really terrified of flying. But I think that's also because my mom worked for Delta for her career. So she had 35 years of work in Delta. And so we always got the standby flight privileges, which has been amazing. And that's how I got to go abroad to London and Rome for a week each, was because she saved up some of her seniority points and stuff. And she won like an extra thing as sort of like an award for one of the things that she did. And so we were able to get a free hotel stay for half of the time we were in London. And we had to really only pay for like the cargo for going to Europe. So it was great. So yeah. I forget where I was going with that. Oh yeah. So because I was able to, we always, half the time we went to visit relatives in Florida, we would fly because it's only like a 45-minute flight from Atlanta. So yeah, so we would fly places. And so I'm not like super, super terrified of flying, except there was one time where Mom and I had planned, we were like, let's try and do a short jaunt to Ireland. Why not? And we were sitting in the waiting area. And if anybody has ever flown a standby, you know that you can put your name on the list, and those who are retired get sort of like lower than those who are active duty, because if you're active duty working for the airline, you might actually have to be someplace for your job. So active duty and then retired sort of is the ranking of the standby. And there's always somebody wanting a standby ticket, or like somebody who's using the standby from their relative or whatnot. And so and plus, you always have to wait for the paying customers. So it's always like paying customers, active duty, retired duty. And so it's always kind of hit or miss as to whether or not you're getting on the plane. And so I was sitting there and my stomach was in knots. I was like, I don't think we should get on this plane, Mom. And Mom was like, shut up. Never say that kind of thing in the airport. I was like, I know, but I don't have a good feeling. And so we wound up not getting on the plane, which was like just as well, because my stomach was like, oh my God, thank you. And so that night, it was not that particular plane, but a plane went down over the ocean that night. And I was like, okay, yeah, that was, it would not have been the plane in our flight path, but it was just like, that was the, I don't know like what I was getting the vibes from, but I was very, very happy I did not get on that plane that day. And that's the only time I've been scared of flying. So yeah. Yay! You ordered panicula. I'm so happy. Review incoming. Yes. Delete the CN tower from my plans. So, like, you know, I think as long as I could feel that there was a structure underneath me, like I might be okay. But yeah, I would be willing to try it, but it would be nerve-wracking. So come up before Christmas so you can get to the Christmas market. Ooh, hot apple cider, a giant Christmas tree, ornaments, baked goodies. Ooh, not sure I could handle the Canadian winter. It might be interesting. I do have some really, really hefty coats that I bought when they were on sale. And I just have not worn them. I probably don't have the proper shoes though, because I don't think I have any like actual winter boots. So I might have to get some winter boots before I go to Canada in the winter. Other than that, it's just like the number of layers, right? And like thermal layers, culture and weather shock. Or I could go and then just not want to leave. Do you want to adopt me, especially if our certain president gets another shot at presidency? Yeah, I think y'all better be aware that should his orangeness win again, there will be like a mass exodus. If you found a magic lantern that only granted selfish wishes, what would your first 3 wishes be? Money, money, and more money. Because you can do a lot with money. I mean, that's like as simple as it can be. You know, that's the thing. Because with money, I could get a new house. I could build my own library. I could do a lot with money. So as long as I just had more money, it would be fine. Because then I could decide whatever selfish thing I wanted. I think that would be my predictable. Because I think in some ways, I think that's like boring, but that's like honest. Because I don't think I wouldn't wish for like somebody's love, because that's not a thing for me. I'm like, yeah, no. Because at the moment I'm very happy being independent and excuse me, all that kind of stuff. So I don't think I would wish like a forced magical love upon myself. Yeah, even my word choice was wrong. Shoes. Absolutely boots. Have I ever experienced snow? So I lived in Utah for 2.5 years when I was like 6 to 6.5. Somewhere around there. So my memory of snow is fun snow. Like as a child, I am not driving in it. I am not required to shovel it, that kind of stuff. We also had one really good snow when I was in college, and I had to like stomp my way across one of the greens to get to the dining hall. Because I was working at the dining hall, and so I had the early morning shift. And they were essentially asking those of us who were on campus and could walk to work to come in place of students or staff members who had to drive to work. So they're like, we need somebody to be here. Like, would you mind? And at that point, I was like student supervisor, so I went in because I was trained to do all the stations stuff. So yeah, fun times. Money, gourmet personal chef, and apparition for world travel. That would be fun. Yeah. Well, okay. So yeah, if I could like have magic or like I don't know, maybe a teleport spell. That would be fun because then I could go wherever I wanted. So money, teleportation spells, that kind of stuff. But yeah, mostly money, I think, would be like the primary. But let's see, what else selfish could I? Maybe all the books that we loved could be made into like perfect, amazing movies, and we could just like, happen instantaneously. Something like that. Yeah. That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Instantaneous, awesome, epic movies. So yeah. And probably some more artistic skills. I would like some more artistic skills. It'd be fun. Because like this one I copied from the Joust cover from Mercedes Lackey. This one I used a reference photo on. This one is my friend Rajan's work. And let's see. Let me see if I can manhandle my friend Hannah's. So this is my friend Hannah's. Let me see if I can get not the glare. And this is her meditation. There we go. There we go. It's a misty mountain side with all the pines and whatnot. I still haven't figured out which wall exactly I want it to go on. But I'm always envious of all of the artistic skills that my friends have and that I do not have. Because I just can't think of drawings for like originals. So I'm always like, I need a reference. So yeah. Yes. Great adaptations only. Yes. Because I was so disappointed in like Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action that they made. There are a lot of aspects of the live action, like Cinderella, that I didn't care for. I was like, y'all made her just as vapid, as like, if not more vapid than the original Cinderella. Like, can't y'all do something better? So I'm really hoping that like The Little Mermaid turns out okay. I'm really, really hoping Mulan turns out good. So things like that. Do I lack a selfish gene? No, I do not. I have a very selfish gene, and that's what when I noticed that I had one, I am much more cognizant of it now. And so I try to not be as selfish as I could be. Because my initial instinct is always like, ooh, I want X. And then I'm like, wait, like, is that really what is best for like the group or like my friend or whoever it is that I'm dealing with? And so I always have to have that pause button in the back of my brain. So yeah, I wish I had a pause button for like my eating too. It's like kind of offset, but I was like, if there are Oreos, I will eat Oreos. If there are brownies, I will eat them all. So that kind of stuff. Creepy woods. I guess you could say they're creepy, but I don't know. I always thought they were very meditative. We have always kind of lived where there are trees, except for when we lived in Utah. So I spent my first 6 years of life, we lived on the edge of a swamp. And so there were always trees. And then when we moved to Georgia again, so we moved from Florida to Utah and then back to Georgia. So we had a whole lot of trees on the property. And then we would always go camping in the mountains and that kind of stuff. So trees have just been a part of my life. And so I generally don't think of trees as creepy. I don't know. And I don't know if that's just because my dad is a forester, and so he's always like, and here's this scientific fact about blah, 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 and that tree's X amount of feet high, and it will fall XYZ direction, and yeah, this looks like it's a timber that's been here for 25 years. You can tell by the little rivulets. I'm like, how do you know? So for me, trees are always just like, yeah, sure, these are trees, and here's like a wealth of information that I may not have wanted. So yeah, that's just trees. So yes, so the treescape is from my friend Hannah Schoonberg, and she is a professional printmaker, and she teaches in California now. She teaches printmaking. And then the samurai up there is from my friend Rajan Noah, and she's amazing. They're both amazing. So yeah. Yes. Hello, Princessa. Welcome. I think they are also very pretty. If I could smite a Greek god, which one would I smite? Interesting. Interesting. Well, my first instinct would be Zeus, because he causes a whole lot of problems with his flirtatious ways, his womanizing ways. And so it's usually in some way, like all the conflict is sort of relates back to him and his love life, because that sets Hera off, or the children do something, or like he takes a woman who's already been claimed, and like, so Zeus, because he misbehaves. So whether or not that would like officially smite him and he would be done, or whether or not he would get mad and call for Hephaestus to bring him his lightning bolts, would be a different question. So if it's a one-shot smite and it like actually works, there you go. So yeah, smack some sense into Narcissus, yes. Or Echo, in all honesty, like Echo can just leave him to stare at his reflection, because she's not entering his sight any longer, so there's no point in her wasting away. Just like go find a different life. But yeah, they could, a lot of people in mythology could use a good smacking. Womanizing ways. Yeah. He's very, he is not a role model, shall we say. Yeah. Him and his womanizing ways. And not proper womanizing either, like very forceful, aggressive type of behavior. Can you imagine, like, okay, so we need a story that is the Me Too movement in mythology, and just everybody just coming for Zeus, because, along with others, but like that would be highly amusing to me. And also well-deserved. So we need some sort of short story Me Too for Zeus. Because, yeah. You're back. You had to clean your room. Oh, no. Is your room clean now? Or did you kind of shove everything into the closet like I sometimes do? Welcome back. Yes. Welcome. If I could be any alien race or mythological fantasy creature, dragon. Just dragon. I would be a dragon. Like, forget aliens. I would be a dragon. So yeah, dragons have always had sort of like a place in my heart. It's been like, because I remember, I think I was about 6 or 7 when my dad first started reading Lord of the Rings to us, and we got to Smaug, and I was like, ooh, a dragon. Then, when it I can't remember if he tried to read us Hobbit first or not, but anyway, we got to Smaug and I was like, yay, dragon. And then Bilbo stole from him and I was very sad. So I think I've always had this like soft spot for dragons in particular. And so, yeah, so then I found like Jane Yolen and whatever the other book I had mentioned earlier was, where the princess becomes friends with dragon. And then I found Anne McCaffrey and Mercedes Lackey. And so it was just like dragons are just like my thing at this point. And I'm just like, I love dragons. So dawdling and procrastinating. So turtle and dragons. So I just need like a turtle dragon to be like my thing. Is that a thing? I don't know. Turtle with wings. Your room is vaguely clean. That's good. That's much better than not cleaned. So Zeus was a Sagittarius. Yeah, I'm not sure if that really excuses him though. But yeah, that. How do you know he's a Sagittarius? That's the question. It's interesting. Because do we have a birth date like for him? Or is it just based on his behavior? What kind of dragon? A magical fire-breathing dragon that can fly, obviously. So I think I remember one of Mercedes Lackey's 100 Kingdom series has the bookworm dragons who, instead of gold, they hoard books. And I have a feeling I would probably be one of those because look, I've already started my collection. But yeah, so and I think it's One Good Dragon or One Good Knight, I think is the name of that particular book. Can I find it real quick? The answer is no. I cannot find it by scanning, which I'm finding I'm doing much more often. So I really do need to rearrange my shelves, even though I keep saying that. So yeah, I would probably be a bookworm type of dragon. Feel for the dragon. Yeah, always. And then Bilbo stole from him and I was sad. You need a t-shirt. Well, I mean, that was like, I was a 6-year-old girl who liked the dragon. I was having fun imagining this cool dragon sitting in his lair, and then this little tiny midget guy comes in and steals his part of his treasure trove, and I'm like, yeah, it was very sad. It's very sad. So because he's got a big expansion. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Archetype is here. Hello. He was ruled by Jupiter. Obviously, lots of luck, and that's why he was able to get away with so much. Yeah. Those ruled by Jupiter are extremely lucky, but sometimes neglect their power. Interesting. Yes, that is some good logic there. Yes, so we're doing kind of like a Q&A chatty session today, and Charlie asked me what mythological creature or alien I would be, and my answer is always going to be dragon. And then they asked what type of dragon, and so I was like, bookworm, I guess. So there is a particular type of dragon that collects books instead of gold, according to the logic of Mercedes Lackey's writing. So yeah. So yeah, that would be my answer for what kind of dragon I would be. And I was that little stuffed dragon right there, the red one. That was my when we moved to Utah. When I said goodbye to my elementary class, the teacher was like, you can pick one of the stuffed animal friends to take with you to remember us by. And so I immediately grabbed the dragon. So I think that was like maybe my first dragon stuffed animal. No, that's a lie too. I have my dragon that is my doorstop at the moment, is a green dragon that I named Mrs. Puff. And I remember sitting on her when I was probably about like 3 or 4 and like scooting, like using her as like my little vehicle, scooting across the floor in our living room. So yeah, so Mrs. Puff was my first dragon friend, I guess. But yeah. Yes, you should. You should definitely name a bookworm after me and include it in your story. Yes. A bookworm. Yes, I like it. Do I have a specific reason I chose not to write via computer? So I have generally most of my drafts I do write on the computer, but if I'm struggling or if I need to take a little bit more time to choose my words carefully, I write it on paper first. So any sort of like a lot of my short stories, my short pieces, whether that's blogs or poems or short stories, articles, that kind of stuff, I always write by hand first. And that gives me a chance to sort of do some scratch out rearranging, like arrows pointing to shift paragraphs and all that kind of stuff. Get it sort of cemented in my brain before I do the type up and initial edit. And I find that works a little bit better for me. And I think that's because with short pieces, my brain is more wired towards like academic style writing. And so as kids, we weren't allowed to use the computers all the time. So we would have to do our drafts on paper and then we would type it up on the computer with our allotted computer time. And so that's kind of like if I have something short that needs to be written that I will then type up afterwards, I will write it by hand. That's just kind of how my brain works. But like these longer, like the novellas and things, I've started mostly in the computer, but I do generally have like some notebook papers and sticky notes and all that kind of stuff that I write down first, even before I go into the document. So yeah. Does anyone watch the PBS show Dragon Tales? Yeah, so I saw a couple of episodes of it, but I was much older at that point, but I still very much enjoy them. So yes, definitely. You can relate. You always handwrite first. Yeah, it does activate different parts of your brain. So scientifically, it helps your memory and all that kind of stuff. So and supposedly it kind of I can see that handwriting in some ways would be worse for arthritic motions because it's the same small motions over and over again, but so is typing. And so I'm not sure if then like dictating would be a better option. I think it would be dictation and then edits to correct the dictation. So whoops, the chat jumped. Your wrists would legit just fall off. Yeah. And I really have enjoyed doing the hand stretches with Austin K, because I didn't realize that my wrists were that stiff until she like showed us the like swoopdies. I was like, oh, I can feel this stretching. Goodness gracious. You really like How to Train Your Dragon Race to the End series. Yes, I bought How to Train Your Dragon like this second it came out. I was like, yes, please. So put a dragon in it and I will show up. Exactly. Goodness gracious. I wish I could remember what the name of that dragon book was. Ernest. We were talking about horror movies. And there's a sort of a series of comedy movies, like short comedy movies, like Ernest Goes to Camp, Ernest Goes to School. But there's one that's like Ernest's Halloween or Ernest on Halloween or whatnot. And it's really funny. So Laura, if you have not seen the Ernest Halloween movie, I recommend that as a comedic horror, fun, weird thing to watch. You brainstorm and plan by hand and then move to the computer. Yeah. You're a masseuse, so your hands need to be dunked in ice constantly to prevent cramping. Goodness. I guess because that reduces the inflammation and the heat in it from overuse and whatnot. Yes. I knew that you would. Yes, I love that movie. It's so silly and so funny. Yes, absolutely. The ice also wakes you up. Yes. I couldn't remember what it was. I was like, I know it's Ernest, but it's something. It is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Silly movie. So don't go in like expecting real horror. But it is absolutely funny. So yes, to the ice reducing the inflammation. Yeah. Ernest, yes. Know what I mean? Yes. I was trying to remember his catchphrase, and I was like, what is that? But it just, my brain was not working at all at that moment. But yes, Ernest is the name of that. The Flight of the Dragons by Peter Dickinson, illustrated by Wayne Anderson, got you hooked on dragons when you were a child. They made animated movie based on it, and you've watched that movie too much. Yes. I really don't know when the first time I saw dragons in movies was. I think maybe Sleeping Beauty, where Maleficent turns into a dragon. Was that the first one? Maybe. But yeah, I don't think it was until I became a little bit older that dragons started being like not necessarily evil in a lot of media. So I found them less in a negative light in writing than I did in visual media. So yeah. And I think I remember going to like the Renaissance Festival and finding like all these little cute dragon figurines. I was like, I want one of these. So yeah. Camelot. Yes, I actually have that quest for Camelot with the dragons that are stuck together, essentially. You haven't watched an Ernest movie since the church. I loved Ernest so much. I loved Ernest, and I like Red Skelton, and gosh, what's the comedian's name? So there's a comedian who does a stint where he has a system of sounds for every punctuation mark. And I can't remember what his name is, but I don't know why. But the first time I saw it, I died laughing because a period would be like a pop, be like, and he had commas would be. So he would start reading this paragraph, and it would just be this series of sounds interspersed, and I just died laughing, and I can't remember what his name is. I'm really bad with names, y'all, if you haven't figured it out. St. George and the Dragon. Yes. We went to, when my mom took me to London, we went to Westminster, and they had the rubbings that you could do and so Mom chose something, appropriately faithful, and I chose the dragon instantly. Haven't thought about Dracologins in a minute. Yeah. Yes, thank you, Victor Borg. Yes, phonetic punctuation. Yes. If you have not seen this, it is amazing. Victor Borg, or Borge, the phonetic punctuation is amazing. I died laughing. So yeah, and I tried to show it to my students one time, and they're like, Miss Turner, you like this? You're weird. I'm like, yeah, no. No, I just did the dragon. Like, forget George. I just want the dragon. But yes. St. George and Oh, Saint Dragon and the George by Peter Dixon. It's a retelling with the dragon as a hero. Oh, I will have to write that down then, because I do not think I have read that one. I think I wrote in 9th grade, we had to do some sort of creative storytelling, and we just read the Odyssey and whatnot, and so we were supposed to write something creative surrounding part of the Odyssey. And so I wrote the Tale of Scylla. And so she was, and I spelled Tail, and my teacher initially like circled it and was like spelling, and then she was like, oh, okay, I get it, because I had the monster, the multi-headed dragon. I had her as a mother who was trying to feed her children, but she had been essentially like banished and driven off for something else that she had done. And so she could only hide in this little cave passageway where Odysseus and his men went. And so she was just like, oh, food, and like tried to eat the men to feed her babies. And she got their armor stuck in her teeth, and so she couldn't chew them. It was very sad. But yeah, so I wrote that in like 9th grade. Fun thing to watch while extremely overtired is anything Mr. Bean. You watch Mr. Bean's Holiday after driving all day and tired laughing at the Ave Marie scene. Yes. Love Mr. Bean. Yes. Faulty Towers is good as well. I don't think I've seen Faulty Towers. I think I will have to watch that one. Because I don't remember that one, that particular one. Mr. Bean, yes. You have Mr. Bean and Faulty Towers on DVD. Nice. When you learn that the most common word in ancient Greek for monster is Drakina, yeah, so female dragon, then the world of dragons grows. Yes, absolutely. You always choose the outcasts. Cowboys and Indians like the Indians, knights versus dragons like the dragons, people versus witch, you like the witch, yeah. And I think that has to do with sort of how we feel, you know, if we fit in or not with the group of people that is in close proximity. And I think that is sort of like the underlying thing. Because I think when we moved to Utah, our family was an outlier because we were not Mormon. And so like among all my friends who were there, they were all Mormon. And so I felt kind of odd because of that. And then when we, and there were also like, there were no Girl Scout troops there. There were all kinds of Boy Scout troops, but no Girl Scout troops. And so when we moved back to Georgia, my mom was like, Georgia is the home of Girl Scout troops. You know, we will find you a troop. And so we got to Georgia, and like the closest troop had been kind of like, it had fallen into disuse because everybody had graduated, you know, and it was kind of like somebody had started that troop just for their daughters, and they had all grown up and whatnot, so they weren't really doing anything anymore, and there wasn't one within another 50-mile radius. And I was like, okay, still don't get that. I was the only girl that was my age in my neighborhood, you know, that kind of thing. So I always felt like kind of odd and weird growing up. And so I think that was part of the like growing up loving the outliers, was just because it was like, well, they're not normal, I'm not normal, I should be with them type of yeah. So Faulty Towers is the British sitcom from the 1970s. Maybe I have seen some of it, I don't know, I'll have to take a look. Love Faulty Towers. Husband is Basil, JP is Manuel, and you are Polly. Nice. Which Doctor Who companion are you? I'm the one who doesn't like to run. um, which I'm not sure if that would make me Donna. I don't know. Maybe Donna. But I don't know. I'm not quite that loud and obnoxious at the same time. So, Princessa, you're obsessed with centaurs ever since the show Xena in the 90s. Yes. Also, the Fantasia. I loved the Greek mythology section with the centaurs and the fauns and yeah, that was fun. You have good respect for the Girl Scouts. You have no respect for the Boy Scouts anymore, and you were one for most of your childhood. Yeah, so my brother was in the Boy Scouts when we were in Utah, and that was part of, like, there were a bunch of guys, like a lot of boys his age, and so he got to do a whole lot of stuff with the guys, and since Dad had like pretty much a full working woodwork shop in the garage, they would come over and he would like help them engineer stuff and that kind of stuff. And so it was kind of just like the expectations for what girls and guys, what boys and girls, the children would do, or what they were expected to do at that age, especially in a super Mormon community, was a little odd. And I didn't realize this, but this is, an assumption. This is not like for sure, but my mom observed to me later. She was like, yeah, most of the married women on the street, you never saw the husbands, but you knew they were married. And they all had lots of children. And so her gathering was that, or her sort of supposition that she realized was that they were all second or third wives that had their own independent house. And so the husband would just like travel down the street. Supposedly. Are you the major? You loved Donna just for the "we're just mates" thing. Yeah. She's very sassy. Very sassy. Donna Noble forever. She and David just like had a whole lot of chemistry, like back and forth. I loved the skit where she was the student and he was like the substitute teacher. And she just did this whole like I ain't bothered thing. It was amazing. So good. As a Utah resident, I could be right in certain towns. Yeah. So, and we never know for sure. And if my parents knew, they like never actually told us. And, we were still young and whatnot. And that was, I think, part of the sort of like the difference in what boys and girls were expected to do was one of the driving forces for us coming back to the South, which isn't really necessarily like that much better, if I'm honest. Like, there are some expectations for Georgia peaches. But yeah, without the racism. Yes, please. So yeah, Faulty Towers has 12 episodes. I could binge watch it in an entire day. Yes, I absolutely could, because I do binge watch things. Let's see. Laura, I can see a couple more comments coming in on YouTube, and that's where I'm like, because I've got my phone playing the stream on silent, so just for sure. Don't eat the kippers. Yes. Polygamist families are very traditional too. It makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah. I am kind of sad though that my dad had a full size like wood lathe for wood turning, so he could make bowls and like anything else really his heart desired. And it was a really nice sized one, and he hauled it to Utah, but then he didn't want to haul it back because it was very weighty. And so they didn't want to pay for the weight that it would take to haul it back to Georgia. So he sold it to somebody, and then I was like, I want to learn how to turn wood on a lathe. Dad's like, I don't have any more. I'm like, darn it. So Keeping Up Appearances, yes, I do love that one too. I love that one. Red Dwarf, yes. Yes, 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 absolutely. Laura says yachting. Absolutely. I don't know why British sitcoms are so funny to me when and I think that's like a very, I think British sitcoms a lot of times, the comedic sitcoms, I guess, is the ones I usually prefer. I just like their brand of humor. I don't know. It's just so good. Red Dwarf is great. Yes. Yes. Have you seen Young Hyacinth? Yes. Yes, absolutely. I need to watch a couple more like British sitcoms and those just be, Netflix and all the kind of stuff like that. I need to get some of that under my belt for quarantine, because why not? Would you like some toast? You sub to BritBox just for the comedies. Yes, there's an idea. There is an idea. Oh, goodness, y'all. It is 4 o'clock and we have not done any writing. Do y'all want to do some writing, or do y'all want to just keep chatting? Let me know. You have not. You must put it on your list. Interesting. Mrs. Brown's Boys. I don't think I've seen that one. I think I was, we've never had cable, like me growing up or into adulthood now, because I never saw the sense in paying for the full price of cable when the only thing that I wanted was like BBC. Like, it didn't make much sense to me. So I always have caught like DVDs of things or reruns on PBS or that kind of stuff. So yeah. All right. Chloe says, let's do a sprint. All right. How long do you want to sprint for? Do y'all want to do like a 20-minute, 25 minutes, something like that? Anyone know anything about dunters in Scotland? They're like red caps, but you're having trouble finding info on them. I don't think I've seen anything on them. Interesting. So 20. Are you being served? Yes, that's a good one too. Was your 20s? Gotcha. All right, so 20 seems to be an acceptable number. So I will pull up the sand timer. Do you guys want the like yak color? No, Devin. We're not doing that. But thank you for the suggestion. Mary C, hello. Welcome, welcome. Yes, we're going to be doing 20 minutes. Y'all can't just keep seconding and thirding your own. No, we're not doing 200 minutes. As much as y'all want. All right. So should I go ahead and do the yak vomit color, or should I do something better? Y'all are funny. Y'all are very funny, but no. Chloe votes for green. Laura votes dark blue for the shirt. Petra, y'all all say 200 minutes, but I don't think y'all realize just how long that is. So 200 minutes divided by 60. Oops. Is 3 1/3 hours. That's a lot of time, and I don't think I can do that. So it'll be 20 minutes. Okay, so green, dark blue, pink, dark blue, barf, green. All right, so we had 2 greens and 2 dark blues. So between green and blue, whoever says it next, it will be. Green or blue? All right, both Mr. P and Petra said green. All right, so if you have been working today and have just left your work open for the last 2 hours, don't forget to save it. Don't forget to hydrate. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! All righty, that was the end of that writing sprint. How'd you do? I did nothing. I went and I looked up the book that I was trying to remember from my childhood about the princess who was making friends with the dragon, and I posted the name of that in the chat, and it was Dealing with Dragons by Patricia Reed, Wrede. Reed or Red, I'm not sure how you pronounce her last name, but that's the name of the book. And then I also posted the link to the Amazon brand page for the earring brand that I like for Silver Forest. And I found the Mercedes Lackey One Good Night, which is where the bookworm lore gets a little bit more attention from Mercedes Lackey. And then I went on Instagram and I found, I was trying to remember which jewelry brand name it is that I have my crescent moon earrings from, but I couldn't find them. So I just went to the Phoenix and Dragon bookstore page, and then I was admiring their kitties because they have shop kitties. And so this is their account on Instagram, but they have shop kitties. And they're adorable. So I was thoroughly distracted by the kitty face. So yeah, and they just have some really cool stuff. But I was just like, you can pet all these kitties if you go to their store. But yeah, so and I think this middle one may have been made by the same person that did my earrings, but they didn't list who made them, so I was kind of not happy with that. But anyway, but yeah, so that was the Phoenix and Dragon Instagram. It's a fun little store in Atlanta. So yeah. Am I still muted? No, I'm not. Okay, excellent. Fantastic. Yay. Alley Cat came in. Hello. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. I am good. I have done no writing yet today, but that's okay some days. And so apparently I'm just taking like a lazy day. Today was mostly a Q&A, fun times, chatty stream after the Worldwide Write-a-thon. So yeah. 236 for Mary. Nice. Petra coming in with a big number. 407. Nice. Charlie, deep cleaned around your desk. Got to clean the desk. Maybe then you can clear the brain. And yeah, I feel that. Read more chapters of The Three Musketeers. D'Artagnan. I was trying to remember which of the Musketeers was my favorite. And I think it's Porthos, who is more of like the piratey one. I think he's my favorite, if I'm remembering them correctly. So Alley Cat edited chapter 3 of your short story project that you worked on during camp. Nice. Very nice. Eva says, I'm a sloth today. That is perfectly fine. Sometimes we need that break. And I felt like today, after the Worldwide Write-a-thon, was a good day to have this sort of Q&A style. Reading and eating mostly. Gotcha. Snacking is good. Reading is good. Added hashtags to your work in progress's scene files to track what needs rewriting and what has been rewritten. Ooh, okay. So do you go and hit like the find to go back to those spots for revision? That's an interesting way to do it. Hadn't thought of that, but yeah, that would work. You haven't started writing until you saw the stream and distracted and went back to church for the first time since all of the pandemic has happened. Hopefully y'all stayed safe. We have not been to a church since everything happened. Because there's plenty of like televised services that you can attend and whatnot. But So I was like kind of laughing, and just, there are some of the mega churches, like the super weird ones, that I saw one of the pastors had been arrested because he was claiming that he had purchased certain fans that could like blow the corona right out of the room. Like, so if you came to his service, you would no longer have the corona. It's just like, wow. And of course, those fans cost a whole lot of money that you had to tithe. So it was a money grab. But yeah, so I'm glad that you finally have been able to go back, and hopefully everybody in your congregation was wearing masks. You're using IA Writer. It's structured so that you can click on the hashtag, and the library filters all the files in that project to the ones with the hashtag. Nice. Nice. Need to decide if you're going to post the urban fantasy chapter by chapter. Oh, in addition to the project that you had already announced you were planning to do. I think maybe you should start with one and see how that goes. But if you want to dive in with 2 projects, go right ahead. That's up to you. I'm not going to tell you what you can do. But I'm only posting the Cinderella at the moment, which I should also post to my blog, probably. Not just to Wattpad. There's an idea. Since I have abandoned my blog for so long. But yeah, so I think you could if you want to, but I would say see how one story goes, and then like once you feel more comfortable with it, if you wind up feeling comfortable with it, then go to 2. Yeah, yours is being as safe as careful as possible. They made it required for your church. Yay! I'm so glad. Yeah, no, I think that was what the pastor had been of that weird mega church. I can't remember if it was in Florida or if it was in Texas. I don't know. But they had been arrested, and then the governor essentially told the police there that they couldn't arrest the guy because it was a church and it was a religious dealing, freedom of religion. So despite the fact that their congregation then exposed the entire community to the possibility of the corona, they got nothing. The pastor was released, and the community was all exposed. So it was not a good situation. And of course he was a white guy, so what made you dive in? What? You dive in without thinking of things all the way through first? Never. You're known for your calm, methodical workflows. Yeah. Me too. Either like I'm in whole hog, or I'm like dawdling. So one or the other. Yeah. So it is 4:34. Shall we do another sprint? Yeah. Yeah, it would just suck to be anybody in that community who was not a part of that church or the members of the police force in that particular town, because like you're doing your job trying to keep the community safe in that instance. And these bozos from that church were just like flaunting. Anyway, yeah. Up for another. Excellent. Okay, let's do another sprint. Back to the timer. Jenna is going to bow out and get some lunch. Hopefully you have a tasty lunch. Happy writing for the rest of us, and congrats. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Megan is down for another sprint. Woohoo! Hello, Stephanie. Welcome. It's perfectly fine if you want to dawdle and come on in whenever you like. Sure, you fret over your life and career choices for it. Oh, don't fret. Don't fret. Either, you can clean something else, or you can write, or you can record something. Let's see. Should we do another 20 or should we do 15? What are you guys up for? Because it is almost the time that I usually kind of knock off. So whatever you guys are interested in, I will do, except for, not the like super long Devon inspired type of sprints. I can't do those. I always find myself going, oh yeah, I can do whatever. And then I think, Devon. Oh. Let's see. Stephanie votes for 15. All righty. Works for me. And we might as well do green since, did we do green last time? We did. We did not do blue. So let's do blue this time. Technically, Devin, you are correct. Your suggestion did get the most votes last time, but I cannot handle a 3 1/3 hour sprint at a time. I just can't. So we'll be doing a 15-minute sprint. Did I share the screen? I did not. Let's share the screen. All right, starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! I got 390 words that time. So I finally started writing for the day. So yeah, so that felt like a pretty good, so I started mostly taking notes, but then I started drafting a particular moment in a scene. So yeah. Stephanie wanted to know how Charlie was after all of the streaming they did yesterday. You are burnt crispy. Contrary to public opinion, you are an introvert. You had a lot of fun, but you feel very drained and empty. Yep. And then asks, how are you back? That is why your site is Project Shadow rather than the last name, because it's easy to forget one of the T's, I'm sure. So Stephanie says, I'm going to crash at the normal time tonight. Yay. Good. I feel like that is an appropriate thing. That way you can start your Monday off correctly. Squism's got 464 words. You're welcome, Squisms. Glad I could help. Let's see. Petra says 225 and trying to settle a decision for lunch. Sandwich of some kind. Let's see. So I have the normal streams during this coming week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday are going to be my normal 1 to 3 p.m. But this coming weekend and then the following weekend are going to be a little odd, and I'll tell you about that in a second. Eva writes, got another half chapter in and fixed your plate of more food. Yay. Excellent. You think you edited you think you edited a page. Yes, a page, and you have been distracted. That is normal. So I have a friend of mine who is going to be, we're going to have sort of like kind of interview, kind of chat, maybe a couple of sprints or something next Sunday. So it'll be a little bit more chatty than it will be sprints. But she is a super intuitive person, and she started her tarology business, and I've linked her in the chat below, but or in the description below. But she and I are going to be talking about what is tarology and how can tarot help us build characters, build plot and conflict, and some of the associations that we have with cards or images, what is good and bad for tarot reading behavior, that kind of stuff. So she has some really interesting blog posts, especially on like signs of unethical behavior from a tarot reader, or what to look for when you want a unethical reader versus sort of like when you should run. So she has a couple of blog posts that are really interesting about that. So next Sunday is going to be more of like a chatty and just sort of like throwing some ideas around type of stream. And then so that's the 23rd. And then on the 30th, which is the following Sunday, I signed up with Cachet to be a part of the 10K relay. So I'm not entirely sure what time slot I am going to be in, so I will have to let y'all know that a little bit later. But that is what's coming up for the next 2 weekends. And then September starts, and on September 1, which is Tuesday, Kate Kavanaugh has her live stream to kick off Mill Wordy, which I'm still debating as to whether or not I can actually do. Like, I only wrote 4,000 words yesterday, but I feel drained today. And so I don't know if I have built up enough writing stamina to take part in Mill Wordy. So I might be doing like half Mill Wordy, just trying to get 500,000. I don't know, because that would mean, I think, what is 3,838 divided by 2. 3,831 divided by 2 is, that's 1,915 words per workday, which is much more doable and I think much more sort of like achievable on my normal thing. Yeah, so I think that would be way more doable if I did like a half mil wordy. So if I tried to get 500,000 rather than a full million. So it would take me, 2 years to get to the million word point that James Patterson was mentioning. Like everybody's got to write their million bad words before they start to get better, which I think is the origin of that challenge. But I don't know. I'm so tempted to like try and go full force, but I'm so drained after just yesterday. I'm writing 4,000 words, but I popped between, I think, 5 different like project type things between blog posts and all that kind of stuff. So, so if I was going to go for 500,000, so 500,000 instead of the full million, that would be 1,915 words per work day. So that's like Monday through Friday with holidays taken off and that kind of stuff, which is much more doable and is about what I normally have been doing, I think. Like on good days. Those are usually some pretty good days numbers. Because some days I've just been getting like 1,500 or so. But I think the 500 million or 500,000 seems way more achievable. I don't know. What do y'all think? Like, should I like go full force or should I be like, let's be reasonable and try for the 500,000 first, and celebrate anything over that I can get? And that is over the course of a year, so it's not going to be like full mad dash. But so yeah, so that's a little bit more than the nano. Like the official nano count is 1667. So it's a little bit more than that, but it's per work day rather than every single day. I don't know. Yeah, it's confusing. So Stephanie, you're doing the Milwordy challenge. Congratulations. You too, you're thinking about trying just to do all the tracking just to see where you get. Yeah, and that's what I started. I went ahead and I put it in a Google form rather than my rather than the Excel. I had started it in Excel, but yeah, I don't know. So it's I was glad to see the if it'll load for a second. So I essentially decided instead of having like Project Gray in here and Cinderella here, I would just do whatever the first project I worked on for the day, second project, third project, etc. And this wound up being 2 projects actually, because I didn't want to go through and like readjust all the formulas for these. But yeah, so in this case, I would do Cinderella, short story. And then so far I've written, what did I say? 390. Yeah, 390. And so then I just update this. So when I do another sprint today, I'll update it to be like 420. And then that adjusts my number over here and then my total down here. So it's kind of fun. But yeah, so that's what I am trying to figure out, whether or not I want to go full force or just like do a little bit more reasonable. And I'm kind of tempted just to do the reasonable and try for 500,000. So Rose is going to start on September 1. And if you fail, you reconsider and then try again on November 1. do whatever you can handle. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to figure out is like, am I going to be able to handle it or not? So just need to figure out a way to track your words. Yeah. Is there a website to sign up? So I think that Kate Kavanaugh, under her last video, she has a Google sign up sheet for others who want to try it. And so then she can do some like group stats and things like that. So yes, there is something that you can sign up with under Kate Kavanaugh's last video, which I don't know if I have the link to any. I think I linked Kate's channel below in the description. But I don't know the official link off the top of my head. So there's not like an official site, but there is a link underneath her last video. So yeah. You realized when you wrote 75K in July, which was amazing, by the way, that blew your mind. You would love to see what you could do in a year. 1 million words would be amazing, but knowing is half the battle. Yeah. So yes, she has the sign up in the link. Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate it. That is the link to Kate Kavanaugh's video where she talks about trying Millwordy, and she has the Google Sheet to sign up for if you would like to do it with her. And Devesha from Grapefry and Zara Hoffman are also going to be in on it. And so I'm trying to decide, I'm like, do I want to do this? Yeah, so this is the Millwordy challenge, or the try to get 1 million words in 1 year. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, Millwordy writing 1 million words in a year, which is mind-boggling, but kind of exciting and inspirational at the same time. I'm like, if I could, I think if I can, I'm going to be tracking my numbers through the rest of the month. And I'm going to be trying to, in addition to doing my normal edits that I'm trying to keep up with, trying to make sure that I'm drafting either in the Cinderella retelling or in Project Grey 2. So if I can do that, I'm going to track. And then if I can get close to that 3,800 per day, per work day, then I may consider doing the full thing. We'll see. I have essentially like a week and a half before I really decide. So we'll see. So yeah. So sounds interesting. I might try it. Probably won't win, but we'll try it. Yeah, that's kind of like the idea. Plus, yeah, it just encourages you to do a lot of writing, which is fun. The world building articles, you think you might sign up. Yeah. If I could just like that, and that's the thing. I want to write more, so I think I should try it. But I'm also like, will I? So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just being my usual indecisive self, and so yeah. Would it count? Do you think, if you started to track from the beginning of the year, since it's for the year? Or is it until it starts next year and then it ends? So Kate Kavanaugh is starting September 1, and it will go for her through August 31st of 2021. I just like shedding here. So she is doing like the year from September 1. And so you could sort of like count up and do it retroactively, but if you want to join up with the group, I think your numbers will start on September 1. So there's that. I wish we had all thought of this like at the beginning of quarantine. Like then we could count all the words we have had so far in quarantine. Because yeah, that would be kind of like what Alley Cat is mentioning. Like, can we like retroactively count all the work we've done while being stuck at home? Want to release faster, so Millwordy would kick you in the pants, get you going. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just being, I want to do it. I'm just like, can I? So I'm doubting myself again, which is what I should not be doing. But yeah, so, all right. So I will have a little miniature story time video out this week where I talk about the time my diary was stolen. And I will be back with the live streams with our normal sprints Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern. And then next Sunday, I will be back at 2 p.m. to talk with my friend Erin about taurology and how we can use it to improve our writing. So yeah, I think that will wind up the stream for today. Thank you very much for coming and participating in my 200 subscriber Q&A, Ask Me Anything-esque performance. So yeah, so thank you very much, and I will see y'all later. Bye. Gotta hit the end button again.